Hey everyone, let's wrap up April. April has been a weird month, I think, for all of us. Reading-wise, I think I did okay. I read quite a few pages and listened to a lot of audiobooks. I didn't upload that many videos. I started off fine with uploading reviews, but then I got to take my work computer home with me and I got to set up the workstation here, which is also my filming station. So it's kind of harder to do that because whenever I go here, I think of work now. Also, having my work computer at home makes me able to do a much more work from home, which is also exhausting. So I found myself on work days much more exhausted in the evening and brain dead. And so I didn't do much during the week. And on the weekends, I was so tired and exhausted and recovered. Luckily, I could read a lot on weekends. So that's why I got so much reading done. So what did I upload? My letter to the months, which thank you very much for all the kind words you had for that. And that's the only non-bookish video I uploaded. So let's get into the books I read. Starting off with the physical books. I uploaded a full review for the 13 and a half Lives of Captain Blaubär. I read this book in German. It's basically 13 and a half adventure stories of Captain Blaubär's life. So he looks at his life as every time something changes, it's a new life. And I like this idea because sometimes I do that too. When you talk about your past and you say that was in a different life, that's this one. But it's a fantastical world. It's our world, but with fantastic creatures. It's not really humans, but Blaubär is our main character. And I loved the writing and I didn't like the writing at the same time. Some parts are a little bit long-winded in descriptions and lists, but it's fun if you like that. I liked the adventures, liked the story, so I can definitely recommend it. For The Circle by Dave Eggers, I also uploaded a full review where I talk more about the things that I thought about the book, mostly the main character. Since then, I have read a few reviews and I noticed that a lot of people who didn't like the book criticized that it didn't add something new to the conversation about the dangers of social media and computers and giving away your freedom to the computers. And a lot of people didn't like the main character. They really didn't like her, and that's why they gave the book a lower rating. But I don't think you're supposed to like the character. I think the character is supposed to show you something, to make you realize how these things work and why this is a danger we have to face. And I think this is something that I haven't read anywhere else when it comes to the dystopian giving away all your freedom to social media and anything. Also, if you follow me on Twitter, you have probably seen me rage about the book. I ended up really thinking it's brilliantly written. It's very exhausting to read, but it's brilliant. The last physical book I read, I didn't review. It's A Spool of Blue Thread by Ann Taylor. This has been on my TBR the longest. And I bought it when everybody was talking about it and hyping it up and loving it. And I kept putting it off. And turns out I was bored most of the time. I didn't really like the writing. I thought it was nothing special, rather boring. I didn't like the characters, or not like, I wasn't interested in them. They were not dislikable or likable. They were just boring. And I don't know. I had the same feeling like when I read The Dutch House last month, that it's okay, but I don't really learn anything from it. I didn't really get anything out of it. Nothing new, nothing special, nothing that made me want to read it. I finished it, which is always a good thing, but it never got to a point where I thought, oh, that's why we went through all of that. Similar like The Dutch House. So if you like The Dutch House, and you might like this as well. I also read 2 books on my Kindle. One was a reread, How to Marry a Werewolf, and I think we don't need to talk about this one again. You know I love it. It's one of the novellas in the Parasol Protectorate universe, and it's a fun, fluffy, feel-good read for me. So I needed that this month. The other ebook I read was the last in the Sin du Jour series, Taste of Wrath. Since it's the last, I don't want to talk so much about it, but I uploaded a series review. Generally, I think it's a fun series about paranormal urban fantasy life here. I am very eloquent today, and It's about a catering firm that is catering to paranormal superhuman creatures like angels and demons and other things. And the first few books focus more on the catering events and the fun things that can happen there. As the series continues, the overall arching storyline becomes more apparent and it gets darker, something I don't really like. So if you're into that, you might enjoy that more than I did. Nevertheless, I like the ideas in the series, I like the characters, I like the stories and the food. The rest of the books I listen to on audio. In April, I rejoined the German Audible. So I have 2 different Audible accounts now, running separately, giving me separate credits, but also separate access to different books. So the first book I listened to was Take Control of Your Life. It was kind of a welcome present. And I've been looking at this book quite a lot, and I thought, it's the beginning of a pandemic and scary times. So why not look at how to take control of your life and deal with the fear? It wasn't really helping with the pandemic, but I really enjoyed how the book was made up, how it's looking at interviews or coaching sessions with 6 different people, and afterwards she takes apart those coaching sessions, tells you what you can learn from them, and you also get a PDF exercise workbook with that, which I didn't really have the energy to do just yet. In general, I think you don't have to really get something out of every coaching session or every problem that she addresses, but there were 1 or 2 where I thought, oh, I could look into that. But she also says this in the book, you really have to do the work to get the benefit of what she tells you. So I like it, but it's coming with work. So it's not something you can just listen to and feel better afterwards. But I still liked the book. The main reason I joined the German Audible again was the continuation of the Känguru Chronicles. So I listened to book 2, 3, and 4. And just as before, there are fun essays, short events going on. The 3rd book takes on more of an overall story arc, which he addresses in it. It's fun, it's sarcastic, it's well narrated. I really enjoyed listening to it. And I know if you don't speak German, you cannot get the benefit of that. But if you're German and listening and haven't read that, I'm probably the last person to have read Marc-Uwe Kling. So go get the Känguru Chronicles. Another Audible original I got this month was The Murder of Manatees, which is the 2nd book in the Tom Stranger adventures. And this was a very short, I think 2-hour audiobook. And it's a fun adventure. You can listen to it in one go. It's not as good as the first one, but Adam Baldwin does a really good job narrating it. And I liked how it poked fun at the criticism it got for the first book. And I thought it was funny. Then I kind of fell into the trap of advertising where it says want to escape from reality and Paul Rudd. So I listened to Escape from the Virtual Island. And this is an audio drama with a full cast narration, and it was just fun to listen to. The story itself wasn't that particularly interesting. It's of an island, kind of like Fantasy Island, where you can go into a virtual fantasy and one of the characters gets lost, and then the owners and the technicians go in and try to find the character, and then things happen. It's wild, it's fun. I think it was really well narrated as an audio play with the full cast, and Paul Rudd, can I say? And it's escaping reality because you're in virtual reality, skipping from one world to the next. So something to escape to right now. The last audiobook I technically finished in May, but I finished it yesterday, so we're counting it. It's the 6th book in the Fred the Vampire Accountant series, Undeading Bells, and it's a 6th book. What am I supposed to tell you? What I really like about this series, like the audiobooks, I listen to all of them, are really well done. I like the narration. I like the consistency of things. The narrator keeps up the voices and the character style and everything for the different characters and the tone of the book, which I really like. It's not always something that happens in a series, so that is a good thing. I also like that the series is continuously gripping. It's the 6th book, and we always have short adventures in each book. So it's basically short story adventures surrounding about one theme a little bit in the background. But it keeps progressing the whole story of all the characters while introducing new characters and new events and new ideas. And this one had some really interesting things happening. So I'm looking forward to where the series is going. I can highly recommend this as a fantasy or urban fantasy series with supernatural creatures living among us in a rather toned down, not too dramatic setting, because our main character is an accountant and he likes being an accountant. I love that. And that was my April. Like I said, I got a lot of reading done, mostly on audiobooks. Okay, it was shorter audiobooks mostly, but still, I'm quite happy with how much reading I got done, despite all the stressful work and everything else that was going on. I hope to upload more videos in May because I'm off work for the next 2 weeks. I have no clue if I can actually manage not to turn on that computer, which is basically sitting in my home now and is my office. I don't know. I think everyone who's doing that right now is struggling with balancing out work time and private time. So if you have any good tips for that, let me know in comments. Let me know in comments how you're doing. Did you get some reading done? Are you struggling with reading? Are you safe? Are you staying home? Are you well? Let's talk in comments and let's hope May sees things getting better. Thank you all for watching. Bye-bye.